Hey everyone, my name is Mia Lammers of Invoked 101, and today I have a very special deck profile, or at least it's very special to me. It is my Naturia deck, and it has changed a little bit over this past year, but this is actually the first deck that I ever legitimately played and learned how to play. The first deck that I ever technically played was Performer Pal Pendulum Magicians. Yeah, Odd Eyes Performer Pal Pendulum Magicians. That was the first deck that I ever technically played and kind of learned how to play, but this was actually the first deck that I ever owned. This is the first deck that I wanted to play, and this is the first deck that I enjoyed playing. So, I have to be honest, of course I don't play this all the time. I have been playing it quite a bit in this past week or so, but I still don't remember every single card that's in here, so as we're going through our deck profile, I'm going to actually be reminding myself of what cards do and which cards are in here, so it's just going to be a fun experience for all of us to see what's inside my deck. So, we'll get right into it. So, our first card is a must-of. It's a must-3 of Naturia Strawberry. Naturia Strawberry is my hands-down favorite card in this deck, and for the longest time everyone said it was my favorite card. For those of you who do not know, this is the card that whenever I played it and I said, "Oh, I have it in my hand," people would say, "Well, guess I lost," because, you know, casuals and friends and all, we just love enjoying the game and making it silly and having fun. So this was the card that whenever I got it in my hand, they would be like, "Well, I have to scoop. Go game 2. Naturia Strawberry's effect is that once returned, when your opponent normal or special summons a monster, select that monster. This card gains 100 attack times the level of that monster until the end phase. So it's definitely not a bad card. It does have a great effect. It's a 1600 attack base, and then it can gain up to, 1,000 if your opponent special summons a extra deck monster with level 10 or even just a in-deck monster. So it's a really good card and it's pretty powerful, but it's certainly not the best card in the deck. It's just my favorite. Our next card is 2 Naturia Rose Whip. This card's pretty good. Your opponent can only activate 1 spell or trap card per turn. Now I know spells and traps aren't as relevant in the game today, but it's still a card that kind of slows down your opponent. It's only 400, so if you can, special summon it, I suggest it, because then, you can have that 1700 defense. So this card is mostly just to slow your opponent down. I do want to say that Naturia has a very strong matchup against Crystal Beast. I've only ever won using Naturia against Crystal Beast, so if you want to play Naturia, make your friends play Crystal Beast. Because when they play Crystal Beast, all their stuff is spells and traps, or, spells, technically. So this can slow them down. We have 1 Naturia Hydrangea. If the effect of a Naturia monster you control was activated during this turn, you can special summon this card from your hand. So it has a 200 defense, so it's pretty big to get over, and it goes right with Naturia Strawberry's effect, that he can select a monster your opponent controls that was normal or special summoned and gain 100 attack points per that level. Once the effect is activated, you can special summon Hydrangea just as extra defense. Our next card is Naturia Cosmobeat. I love Cosmobeat. He is so cute looking, and I just adore him. So I kind of wish I had more copies, but I only run 1, because honestly I only own 1. When your opponent normal summons or sets a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. So he's really easy to get out, and him being a tuner is really amazing, so you can go right into your extra deck. So it's a really great card. If you have more of him and you want to play Naturia, definitely run more of Cosmobeat. Next we have 1 Naturia Eggplant. When this card is sent from field to graveyard, you can select 1 Naturia monster from your graveyard, except Naturia Eggplant, and add it to your hand. So it's not the best card in the world, but it definitely helps with recycling your monsters, which this deck doesn't do very well. So you can get back some of the much needed cards. We also run 1 Pumpkin. I need to get more. I would like to get more Pumpkin. Pumpkin says when this card is normal summoned, If your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon one Naturia monster from your hand. So it's a really, really good card, and Naturia, you know, for the most part is only normal pass or normal possibly swing pass. It doesn't have a whole lot of advanced plays, so this one can help you get out more monsters that you can do more with. It can even possibly get you out one of your tuners. So it can really help you with advancing some more plays that this deck honestly needs help with. So run more pumpkin. We also run 3 Naturia Butterfly. Once per turn, when your opponent's monster declares an attack, you can send the top card of your deck to the graveyard and negate the attack. So this card is really, really powerful. This is why we run it at 3, because when your opponent tries to attack you, you just send the top card. And Naturia has a lot with excavating the deck and sending your cards from deck to grave. A lot of effects activate, so this card can trigger some of those effects. We haven't gotten to those cards yet, but we definitely will. But not only can it trigger those effects, it can just help you protect your monsters. And yes, it's only once per turn, so if they have multiple monsters on field, they can keep hitting you, but at least for that one time, you can actually save yourself, and it's a really great and powerful card, so definitely run it at 3. Next we run 1 Naturia Dragonfly. This card cannot be destroyed by battle with monsters that have 2,000 attack or more, and it gains 200 attack for each Naturia monster in your graveyard. So this card can be really, really good, but at the same time, it can also really be bad, because honestly with Naturia being so slow and such sadly a low quality deck, it doesn't do much other than, you know, normal pass, normal swing. This card can become a little bit because it's only 1,200 attack, and most likely you're not going to be fighting decks that have 200 attack or more monsters in it, because you're gonna be annihilated, you're gonna lose. So this card, that's why I run it at 1. Normally it would be good and really in more powerful decks, but Naturia isn't a powerful deck, which is a little sad. Oops, my bad. We run 2. I would actually drop it down to 1, to be honest. Next we run 2 Naturia Mosquito. When you control another face-up Naturia monsters, your opponent cannot attack this card, and you would not take battle damage from attacks involving other face-up Naturia monsters except this card. So if you have other Naturia monsters, they can attack it, and then whenever they attack your other Naturia monsters, you don't take damage. So it does kind of stun your opponent's plays there and saves your life points, which is why we run it at 2, but at the same time it's really low attack and really low defense, and so it's not the best, because they're still gonna just hit your other Naturias most likely, get over them, and then the next turn, if you don't have anything great, they're just gonna slam into this, and it's gonna cause a lot of damage. So that's why we only run it at 2 and not 3, but like I said, sometimes this card comes in handy. We run 1 Naturia Ladybug. When you synchro summon a Naturia synchro monster, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. During your main phase, you contribute this card to select one face-up Naturia monster you control, and it gains 1,000 attack until the end phase. So this card can be really, really, really great, because if you use it to synchro summon, it's in the grave, automatically you get it back because you synchroed with it. And then during your main phase still, you contribute it away, target the synchro the synchro monster if you got out a Naturia monster or one of your other Naturia monsters, and they gain 1,000. So it can really boost your attack points, and it can push your play a little bit farther. I would run more of these, maybe 2, possibly 3. If it was a tuner, it would definitely be a 3 of, but seeing as it's not a tuner, I'm thinking more towards running it at 2. We, of course, I'm gonna get these out of the way, because these seems like it's the end of our Naturia monsters. So, we of course run 3 Lone Fire Blossom, and the reason we run 3 Lone Fire Blossom I'll talk about later, but of course it's always a really great card. We do have a very strong target in the deck that I suggest using it with. But, you know, plant deck, run 3 Lone Fire, because, I mean, we can, so you should. We also run 3 Cactus Bouncer. Cactus Bouncer is an amazing card. Definitely run him at 3 if you can. This card cannot be special summoned. While another plant monster is on the field, neither player can special summon monsters. And I strongly suggest running him at 3. One of my absolute favorite cards in this deck that honestly made it so much more enjoyable and so much easier to play was World Carrot Weight Champion. I love this card. It is so good. If this card is in your graveyard, you can send 1 plant type monster from your hand or face up from your field to the graveyard, except World Carrot Weight Champion. Special summon this card. You can only use the effect of World Carrot Weight Champion once per turn. This card is amazing. As you've seen, we've mostly run plants. I mean, Naturia is a plant deck. We also do have some insect Naturias, but not so many that you're not going to end up drawing into plants at some point. So, with he being the strongest card in this deck, attack-wise, he's 1900. And to be able to just bounce him from grave whenever he is destroyed, if he ever is really, really powerful. Especially him alongside, let me see if I can find it, Butterfly. Butterfly being able to negate attacks, and then Carrot Weight Champion being able to just push past all these other monsters and run them over is really, really strong. And so that's why he is one of my favorite cards in this deck. He definitely makes this deck playable, so run him at 3 if possible. We're getting towards the end of our monsters, but we run 1 Princess of the Autumn Leaves and 1 Princess of Cherry Blossoms. Now, Lone Fire Blossom, back to that card. When you have Lone Fire Blossom, you either want to go for Princess of the Autumn Leaves or Princess of Cherry Blossoms, because they are really hard to special summon any other way. But not only that, they are also some of the higher attack monsters. Or, you know, you can always go into Carrot Weight if you don't already have him, but most likely at that point you already do. Let me remind myself of what this card does, because I don't really see this card very often. Okay. So your opponent cannot target face-up plant-type monsters for an attack except for this one. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 plant-type monster from your deck except for this card. So this is why you'd most likely go Lone Fire Blossom into Princess of the Autumn Leaves, is because even if she is killed, you would get to special summon her from the deck. So it's really powerful to just have an 1800 monster on field that your opponent cannot attack any other plant monsters on field except for her. So she is a little more difficult to get over, and even if they do, you're going to save a lot more life points than if they're running into Butterfly or any of your other really, really low attack monsters. And then you get to special summon this 2800 beater, who also gains 100 attack per plant type monster on the field. So, it's only 100 attack, which is not the most amazing thing in the world, but she is the strongest monster in our deck, and she can keep gaining attack points. So she's really powerful. We only run her at 1 though, because she, like I said, she is really hard to special summon, seeing as it is mostly normal pass. You're not really wanting to say, oh, I have this card in hand, I'll sacrifice 2 of my monsters, most likely being Carrot Weight, because you want to get him out as soon as you possibly can, to special summon this card, and then have nothing left on field, so her effect isn't even relevant. Which is why you would Lone Fire into her, and then if she ended up dying, go into her. Sorry if that explanation was really, really long. I'm sure that most of you got it already before I've even finished. We also run 1 Glow Up Bulb, because, I mean, that's pretty obvious, and 1 Angel Trumpeteer. Angel Trumpeter is just a really strong normal monster, 1900 attack, the same as World Carrotweight Champion, and it is also a normal and a tuner. So, you know, plant, tuner, extra deck. I mean, it's obvious. Strong monster. Why not run at least a copy? That is it for our monsters. We are now going to go into spells, and we don't have too many of them. We have 2 Leodrake's main. Select one face-up Naturia monster you control. Its attack becomes 3,000 and its effects are negated until the end of this turn. Or sorry, until the end phase. Sadly, it's not a quick play spell. If it was a quick play spell, it would be so amazing because your opponent goes to attack you, you flip this up, 3,000, they end up crashing into it and does damage to them. That'd be really, really powerful. However, since it's not that, you just kind of have to wait for the opportune moment when your opponent's field is mostly cleared out of the way, or that moment when you really, really, really need to get over their extra deck monsters to use this card. We also have 2 Spiritual Forest. I've considered running this at 3 quite a few times. I think the reason I don't, honestly, is because I don't have a 3rd copy. But Spiritual Forest is one of our most important spell cards. Each turn, the first time a face-up beast type, beast warrior type, or plant type monster you control would be destroyed by battle, it isn't destroyed. This card is really strong at protecting your monsters, and it goes really well with Naturia Butterfly, who can negate an attack, and then if they try to attack you again, it's not destroyed, and then most likely they don't have another monster on field, because like I said, this deck only goes up against kind of, you know, trash decks. I'm gonna have to say that. Naturia is not the strongest deck in the world. I just love it because it makes me happy. And I think that's really important, is to have a deck that makes you happy and makes you remember why you love this game. So we're most likely going up against a deck that's also weaker and not able to get out monsters really fast. So this card can really, really stop your opponent's plays because they won't have the ability to get over you, and you can just keep hitting them or whatever you can possibly do to win that match. So this really helps by slowing down your opponent, and it goes really great with some of the other cards that help to advance your plays a little bit better too. We also run 1 the World Tree. We also run 1 Mark of the Rose, 1 Forbidden Chalice, just, you know, for the extra attack gain, 1 Lightning Vortex. If this could be Regeki, it would be, but someone who is also a part of this channel wouldn't let me have Regeki for my precious plants. So, run Regeki, because it's better. But that is it for spells. We are down to our last 2 cards. We have Naturia Sacred Tree and then Wall of Thorns. Run this at 3 if possible, because this is honestly the best card in the deck outside of monsters. It is really, really good at saving my butt when I have it. So when a plant type monster you control is targeted for an attack, destroy all attack position monsters your opponent controls. So it's a really, really, really powerful card, and sadly, since I only have 1, quite a few times it has been popped, which makes me a little sad. So run it at 3 if possible, because it's really, really powerful, and honestly this deck needs all the help that it can get. Now for the extra deck. We run 2 Naturia Sacred Beast. During either player's turn, when a spell card is activated, you can send the top 2 cards from your deck to the graveyard and negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. We also run 1 Naturia Barkion. I'm sorry if it doesn't show up so well. Hopefully you can kind of see it. Let me see if I can hopefully not blind you guys. There we go, there you go. You can see it now. This is one of my favorite cards. It's the first Ghost Rare and probably the only Ghost Rare I'll ever own, but I love this card. Anyways, during either player's turn, when a trap card is activated, you can banish 2 cards from your graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. We also have for our level 7, a Naturia Landoise. He is my turtle, and I love him because he's so cute. But when this card is face up on the field, you can send one spell card from your hand to the graveyard to negate the activation of an effect monster's effect and destroy it. We're also running one Scrap Dragon. I honestly don't get this card out too often, like at all, but if you want to play another card over this, I suggest why not, because like I said, I don't get this out. He doesn't come in handy very often, so might as well, if you have any other, little tinkers for this deck, or for the extra deck, then he might be one of the cards that you might want to remove. We are also running one Naturia Leo Drake, and then we have Leo, the Keeper of the Sacred Tree. I absolutely love his art. This is another card that's surprisingly really easy to get out. He's 3100. His effect is this face-up card on the field cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects except during your main phase 2. So sadly, it does have that except during main phase 2 instead of just cannot be targeted. I would love if it was just cannot be targeted, especially since we are going to most likely be going up against those older decks that like to target. Newer decks nowadays are mostly non-targeting, but since we are going up against a lot of targeting decks, I would love for it to not be able to be targeted. That would be amazing. But I do understand why they did decide to do this, because although Naturia isn't a strong deck, it can be really annoying to try to get over 31 with an older deck that most likely can't go into anything over 2k. So I do understand and respect why they did that, but at the same time, it would be a little nice if it was just like, I worked really hard to get out this really big monster, now he can't be targeted, try to run him over. I mean, I think that would have been great. We are also running Malay of the Tree, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, and then we are also running this card. I've honestly never seen this card in my extra deck. I'm not even kidding. This card was probably put in by the special someone that we were mentioning earlier. So I honestly don't know what this card does. But if you like this card, run it. I guess I'll read what it says. You can detach one XZ material from this card, inflict 200 damage to your opponent for each card in their hand. You can only use the effect of this card once per turn. And it's 2100. That is actually a pretty good card. But sadly, since we don't really XZs in this deck, that might be a card that you want to save for another time or another deck. However, like I said, this deck needs all the help in the world, and if your opponent racks up cards really easily, then this may just be the card you want to go into. But anyways, I really hope you enjoyed my Naturia deck profile. I know it's not the best deck in the world. It's certainly not the best build of Naturia. But this is my Naturia deck, and I love it. I love it because I can never really get mad when I play it. It's just a goofy, silly deck that I know isn't that great, but that's okay. And the effects are all really simple and easy, so no one really ever argues over what an effect does and if it can or can't go off. So if you are trying to get someone into the game or trying to teach them how to play, maybe Naturia is the way to go, because the effects are really simple and they're really silly looking, and maybe even someday you can have a joke about a card in here that makes you scoop. So I hope you enjoy my deck profile, or enjoyed it, because you just watched it. If you want to help me make Naturia meta again, or at least a little bit better, please consider supporting us on Patreon. There's a link down in the description below. At least go check it out. I mean, I understand that not everyone has all the money in the world, but it would really help us out in not only, my silly little simple decks, but also getting more deck profiles that you guys want to see. We get a lot of requests where every single time we have to sadly say, please support us on Patreon, because we can't afford those cards. So please at least consider it. It would help us out, and it would mean the world to us. If you want to keep updated with what we're doing and what's going to be uploaded next, please consider following us on Instagram. at Invoked101, where we always post when a video goes up or what kind of videos we're going to do. We also post a lot of polls on there for what profiles or videos that we may do, and if you guys want to see them. So it would really help us with seeing what you guys want to upload, want us to upload. So go follow us on there. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Bye!